A single decision on a quiet night, a seat on a city bus, a hand that keeps a diary safe. Ordinary people make choices that ripple far beyond their street or their time. Some moments are loud and public. Others happen in rooms no one sees. But history remembers them because, in a breath, they changed the path we all walk. Act 1. Setup. We like to think history belongs to kings, generals, and billion-dollar breakthroughs. It sits in museums and textbooks with polished dates and bronze plates. But look closer and the story bends. Great turns often begin with small choices, made by people who did not plan to become a headline. A teenager who says no. A clerk who keeps a promise. A worker who follows a gut feeling even when it costs. These are not myths about superhumans. These are snapshots of real lives. The people you pass on the sidewalk could be carrying a future in their pocket and not even know it yet. That is the power of ordinary hands. We are going to travel through time and across the world. We will keep our feet on the ground, on buses, in offices, in forests, on factory floors, and in crowded city towers. Each story offers a simple human scene. Each scene holds a choice. Watch what happens when a person chooses to act. In the end, there is a twist worth holding on to. The extraordinary is not magic. It is a pattern anyone can train. It is habit, community, and attention. It is the kind of courage that looks like calm. Act 2. Escalation. It is March 1955 in Montgomery, Alabama. A city bus rattles down the street. A 15-year-old schoolgirl named Claudette Colvin sits in the colored section, clutching her books. A white passenger steps on. The driver barks an order. Claudette feels a heat rise inside her. In class, they learned about the Constitution. She has rehearsed those words in her head. She says no. Police drag her off the bus. She is arrested. Few people have heard her name. She is young, poor, and dark-skinned in a world that punishes those things. 9 months later, another rider makes a choice. Rosa Parks is a seamstress and a quiet organizer who knows this fight well. She sits down, refuses to move, and is arrested too. Her no does not stand alone. It lands on a network of church meetings, carpool plans, and neighbors willing to walk. The bus boycott lasts 381 days. Mechanics fix flats. Cooks get up earlier to make lunches for people who now walk miles. A court rules that segregation on buses is unconstitutional. People say Rosa Parks changed history, and she did. Claudette Colvin helped build the road she walked. Ordinary does not mean alone. Now the Netherlands, 1944. A small office above a warehouse smells like paper and spices. Miep Gies is a secretary, not a soldier. She helps hide the Frank family and others in a secret annex. When the hiding place is discovered and the families are taken, Miep returns to the empty rooms and finds pages scattered on the floor. A diary full of a teenager's voice. She gathers the papers into a bundle and tucks them away, planning to give them back after the war. Only Otto Frank returns. Miep places the diary in his hands. The world learns Anne's voice. A woman who never wanted fame shapes how millions understand courage, fear, and hope. She did it by keeping paper safe. Vietnam, 1968. A helicopter pilot named Hugh Thompson Jr. flies over a village and sees what should not be. Smoke, panic, people running. Soldiers who have lost the thin thread that holds a battlefield to a code. Thompson lowers his helicopter between villagers and gunfire. He orders his crew to point their weapons at their own side if they must. He moves survivors out. Later, he testifies about what he saw. He pays for it with years of blame before honor finally finds him. His act does not erase what happened. It does mark a line that must not be crossed again. Sometimes changing history means forcing a country to look at itself. Let us step away from war and into a river island in India. Late 1970s. The Brahmaputra floods and leaves a stretch of bare sand. A teenage boy named Jadav Payeng sees dead snakes washed up on the hot shore. He asks officials to plant trees. They tell him to try it himself, so he does. He plants bamboo. He brings seeds. He carries water. He keeps at it through storms and lean months. A patch of green takes hold, then spreads. Years pass. The sandbar becomes a forest with birds, deer, and shade. Elephants wander through. Jadav never makes a speech. He just returns the next day with more saplings. Small acts, repeated, can grow a forest strong enough to hold back a river. Not all discoveries need shovels or axes. Some need a laptop and a curious eye. In 2007, a Dutch schoolteacher named Hanny van Arkel joins an online project called Galaxy Zoo. Volunteers sort images of galaxies to help scientists do what computers cannot, at least not yet. Notice the weird stuff. Henny spots a strange blue-green smear next to a galaxy. She flags it. Others look. Astronomers dig in. They find a glowing cloud lit by a past flare from a black hole. A light echo across space. They name it Henny's Voorwerp, Henny's object. A person on a computer, clicking through images after work, moves astronomy forward. Citizen science is not a feel-good slogan. It is a real engine of discovery built on ordinary attention. Act 3, Climax and Aftermath. August 23, 1989. The sun lowers over the Baltic states. People spill out of homes and offices with radios, candles, and flags. They line up on roads and fields and city streets, holding hands. From Vilnius to Riga to Tallinn, they form an unbroken human chain almost 400 miles long. Children stand on tiptoe. Grandparents grip with both hands. Drivers stop their cars and join. For 15 minutes, 2 million people become a single line drawn across a map. They are not asking for a favor. They are saying, "See us." The world sees. The protest does not bring freedom in one day. It does something quiet and massive. It tells a truth in a way no one can ignore. Within 2 years, the Baltic states are independent. A human chain pulled history forward. September 11, 2001. A finance company fills its offices in the South Tower of the World Trade Center. The head of security is a man named Rick Rescorla. Years earlier, after a bombing in 1993, he decided he would not trust luck. He made people practice. Drills again and again, even when they groaned. Down the stairs, no talking, keep moving, follow the songs. He sang to steady them. On the morning of the attacks, the loudspeaker says to stay put. Rick says no. He orders an evacuation. The drills kick in. People move fast and calm. He stays to help the last ones. He does not make it out, but thousands of others do because he treated safety like muscle memory. He changed history for every family that got to hug someone that night. Now go back 20 years before that to a bunker near Moscow. Late September 1983. The Cold War is tense. Lieutenant Colonel Stanislav Petrov sits at a console watching a new satellite warning system. Alarms begin to scream. The screen shows a missile launch from the United States, then a second, then 3 more. 5 in total. Doctrine says report and escalate, but the pattern looks wrong. Why only 5? Why not hundreds? Petrov knows the system is new. He listens to his doubt. He waits. The clock in his head ticks. He breaks the rule. He calls it a false alarm. He is right. Sunlight had bounced off clouds and fooled the satellite. The world keeps turning because a man decided to think before he shouted. He gets no parade. He files a report and goes home. It takes years for his choice to drift into the light. What if he had done what he was told? Sometimes history hinges on someone who refuses to be a machine. Not every life or death choice happens in a uniform. Think of a woman in a village co-op who takes a small loan to buy a cow and joins with neighbors to sell milk together, building a network that changes what a nation eats. Think of a group of mothers standing in a square every week, holding photos of missing children until the city can no longer look away. Think of a quiet engineer who argues late into the night to add a safety valve, just in case. And one day, that valve keeps a town from becoming a headline. These are not movie scenes. They are the fabric of public life. After each of these flashes comes the long, slow work. A court order that must be enforced one bus line at a time. A diary that must be translated and printed and taught. A forest that needs tending through dry seasons. A safety culture that must outlast fear and boredom. The turning point is real, but it only matters if people carry it forward. Twist, insight. Here's the twist. Extraordinary change is often built from ordinary things most of us can do. Not all at once, not on a giant stage, but right where we stand. Look at the pattern. First, proximity. Each person was close to the problem. Claudette and Rosa rode the buses every day. Meep worked in the office above the annex. Thompson flew over the village. Jadav lived on the river island. Henny clicked through galaxies, one by one. Petrov sat in front of the screen. Rick stood in the stairwells with his people. Being near a thing gives you a kind of fluency with it. You notice what feels off. You know when the official plan does not match the ground truth. Second, practice. None of these choices came out of a vacuum. Rosa Parks trained as an organizer. Meep had spent years quietly helping the hidden families. Thompson had flown many missions and knew his crew. Rick drilled his floors so often that fear could not break the line. Jadav planted one tree, and dozens, then thousands. Henny trained her eye by looking at countless images. Petrov studied the system until he trusted his own judgment over a siren. Practice turns values into reflexes. Third, people. None of this was solo. Claudette's and Rosa's courage rested on a web of neighbors who walked, drove, and donated. Meep's bundle only mattered because a reader named Otto read and shared his daughter's words with the world. Thompson's crew backed him. The Baltic chain held because each person took someone else's hand. Birdsong returned to Jadav's forest because the land had space to breathe. Henny's click mattered because a community of volunteers and scientists picked it up. Petrov's pause mattered because others did not push a button right away. Rick's plan worked because thousands agreed to follow it. Ordinary courage scales when it shares. The insight is simple. History turns when attention, habit, and community line up. That mix is not a secret recipe. It is a way to live. Reflection. Takeaway. If there is one thing to carry into tomorrow, it is this. You do not need a cape or a title to bend the arc in front of you. You need a place you care about, a practice you keep, and people you trust. The moment may come fast, a red light on a console, a loudspeaker telling you to stay put, a stranger being told to stand. Or it may come slow, a dry riverbank, a long walk to work, a line of images on a screen. When it comes, you will fall to the level of your habits. So build those habits now. Learn names. Ask better questions. Do the drill one more time. Set up the safety net you hope you will never need. Join a group. Teach someone what you know. Or give them your seat. Small choices like these are not smaller than history. They are how history moves. Here's a question I would love to hear you answer in the comments. Which story surprised you most? And what tiny habit could you start this week that would make you ready to act when it counts? Your idea might give someone else the nudge they need. If this episode lit a spark, subscribe for more. We tell human stories about quiet courage, tough calls, and the patterns that make change stick. Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and share this video with a friend who needs a reminder that the future is built by all of us, one choice at a time.